Why are there sections of the Disney parks that have been completely abandoned? How come Disney's had to break several promises? And why does Disney secretly want you to leave your cash at home? Here are all the things Disney wishes you'd forget about, but we're going to bring to the spotlight regardless. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. So there are so many things Disney wants to direct your attention to, like their brand new park rides, their successful film series, and their ever popular restaurants that folks just can't stop raving about. It's me, I'm folks. But these shiny diversions are doing a great job at hiding some secrets. The secrets are, there are some things Disney would rather you forget about, but we can't allow it to happen. Not today, not when I know that you guys have a lot of questions. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Unsolved Mysteries, DFE edition, where we highlight attractions around Disney World that we're really not sure why they're just sitting there doing nothing when they used to be such prevalent parts of our Disney World experience. Like Tomorrowland Terrace, over in Magic Kingdom. This quick service location is usually closed, though it can operate very seasonally when there are really large crowds. Other than that, it doesn't open. Not unless you count the happily ever after dessert parties, since they all take place at Tomorrowland Terrace. But throughout the day, nada. It just sits there, even though we know that the kitchens Disney uses for a lot of their other quick service locations are located here. Very fishy indeed. Regardless, we still find ourselves frequenting this abandoned quick services covered dining room quite often since it's quiet and there's lots of tables that are free for you to picnic at. And then there's Stitch's Great Escape, a defunct show which is also inside the Magic Kingdom Tomorrowland area, strangely enough, and has been down and closed since 2018. That is 6 years, people, so what's there now? Nothing really. We've heard rumors that the building is being used as a cast member break room and for storage, but other than that, crickets. I think a big problem with this location is that it doesn't really have enough space to be a full-fledged ride, though it could still be a nice meet and greet location at least, which Disney did do for a short amount of time after the attraction closed, making it a designated Stitch meet and greet spot. So who knows? Surely Disney will do something more with this space in Tomorrowland eventually, but for now, the neglected building doesn't seem to be on their radar. But let's not forget about the massive building over in Disney Springs, which used to be the NBA experience. And before it was that, it was Disney Quest. Yes, that was a 5-floor interactive experience with tons of arcade games, dated virtual reality sets, immersive create-your-own adventures, and the like. Think Chuck E. Cheese in the 90s, but on a Disney scale, with no buffet pizza or terrifying animatronic animal band. The purple Mr. Munch monster always gave me the heebie-jeebies. Now, Disney Quest closed in 2017 to make way for the NBA experience, which opened in 2019. But when the parks closed due to the pandemic, the experience never reopened its doors. And in 2021, it was announced that it would close for good and actually be demolished. So here's where things get really weird. At the beginning of this year, a permit for demolition was filed for the building, and while we've seen some work being done on it, it's almost like Disney changed its mind and decided to keep the building, because it's definitely still standing in all its abandoned glory. Okay, I guess abandoned isn't completely true. Recently, it was used as a Harry Styles pop-up store featuring his brand Pleasing plus Disney Fantasia influences, and that was a huge hit. The first day it opened, the line just to get in was a 5-hour wait. But now, items from this collection are available to purchase online at both the Pleasing and the Disney Store websites. Now, Disney, there are so many cool things that could be added to this place. A multi-story escape room, an elevated food court concept, a massive Beauty and the Beast bookstore, Disney Quest 2.0. Obviously, I'm just spitballing here, but now I gotta ask, if you were to add an attraction to this giant empty building, what would you add? Let me know down in the comments so we can imagine all the possibilities together. All right, folks, been a while since we talked about this one. Tables in Wonderland. Tables in Wonderland existed once upon a time, right? Like, I didn't just imagine that I purchased this all those years ago and Disney up and decided to never mention it again, right? It was there. Don't answer that. I know Tables in Wonderland existed. It's just one of the many things that left us after the pandemic closures that Disney never brought back into our lives again. Similar to Disney hotel package delivery or maybe room service. Anyway, just a whole lot of other hotel perks we're missing real badly right about now. Okay, going off on a tangent here, let's backtrack. Tables in Wonderland used to be a premium Disney World discount dining program for annual pass holders, Disney Vacation Club members, and Florida residents. The membership provided a 20% discount on food and beverages, including alcohol, at over 100 restaurants and lounges across the parks and hotels. You'd also get invitations to special member-only events like the former Contemporary Resorts Chef's Table Experience, the Culinary Adventures with Chefs of Disney, and so many other former events that I'm getting all nostalgic over now. Now, while Tables in Wonderland was still around, each of these premium Disney members still received discounts on many restaurants and shops around property, even without the extra Tables in Wonderland purchase. It's just that Tables gave them a higher discount on things, along with discounts on alcoholic beverages too. But even though Tables in Wonderland is long gone with no sign of returning anytime soon, those membership discounts for annual pass holders and Disney Vacation Club members still exist. So always check and see if the Disney location you're at has discounts you can apply to your total cost. Your Disney Visa card might also help you receive savings on your future purchases too. You can always learn about which specific Disney World spots take discounts ahead of time by searching for them online. But our DFB Guide to Walt Disney World Dining also has all of those discounts curated and listed out for you if you don't want to do all that hunting yourself. But my advice, regardless of what you're seeing on the World Wide Web, ask anyways. The worst a location can tell you is no sorry, but the worst you can do is pay more money on something than you need to. Recently, we released a video on our channel talking about where Disney will be spending their $60 billion budget that they've set aside for park and attraction expansions over the next 10 years. And a big part of that discussion was around Disney's independent properties, or IP, featured in their films and shows. Earlier in 2024, when Disney CEO Bob Iger was talking about where the parks have found the most success over the years, he gave very specific shout-outs to Disney's IP-based attractions. We're talking things like Cars Land and Disney California Adventure, Zootopia and Shanghai Disneyland, Toy Story Land across several Disney parks, Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland and Hollywood Studios. The list goes on, but basically, the more popular the character and story, the more demand it seems to pull for the parks whenever it's featured in a new land or a ride or a show, even a limited time snack. That's why we are still being bombarded with all things Frozen, and why we're starting to see a lot of Encanto creep into the scene now. So how does Disney decide which IP is going to be the biggest draw for their parks? Box office numbers are very telling initially, but beyond that, Disney Plus streaming can help Disney further cement which Disney IP is going to continue being a hit year after year after year. After all, if Disney just based Encanto's popularity off of its big screen release, they might not have been as eager to start plugging the Madrigal family into those new park additions, since the initial box office numbers were lackluster. But once they released the film to Disney Plus and the viewership for this one skyrocketed, Disney knew they had a good thing going. So if there's a certain Disney film that's not receiving a whole lot of love inside the parks and ships, both domestically or overseas, a lot of that does fall back on the lack of love it received from the audience too. Now, that doesn't mean you're never going to see any of these Disney characters make appearances inside the parks. Disney likes to bring out the underdogs for rare meet and greets every now and then, or many even feature them in quick little montages during one of their nighttime spectaculars. But as far as having an entire ride or land based around an IP that received a lower score on IMDb or got buried among all the other Disney Plus movies and shows, it's not going to happen, Captain. Another way to gauge what Disney's pouring money into as a franchise is to take note of what sequels they're making. Moana 2, Frozen 3, Toy Story 5. Iger has stated in past interviews that the Disney company has gotten sequel happy in the past, which has led their movies to underperform in the box office. But Iger stated that from here on out, there has to be a good reason to make these, beyond just the sake of making them for quantity purposes. So as Disney pulls back on some of their originally planned sequels, especially in terms of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're giving the green light to franchises they believe will still have stories to tell, both on screen and in the parks. Plus, the truth is, sequels are doing great right now. Look at Inside Out 2. That film has outperformed them all. In reference to the $60 billion budget, Iger also mentioned that there's the potential of Disney capitalizing on brand new IPs later on down the line, which is why some of the specifics of this budget are still up in the air. Disney wants the flexibility to pivot if a shiny new IP captures the attention and hearts of future park and cruise line guests, meaning there may be new rides and shows and restaurants out on the horizon based around characters we don't even know yet. If they win us over, that is. Otherwise, Disney will just sweep them under the rug. Gone but not forgotten. Disney frequently rotates out their park snacks. Sometimes they do it because the snack wasn't popular, or they're trying to cut costs, or they're trying to update a certain snack to feature different ingredients, or because it was just a limited time or seasonal offering, or even because they just want to switch things up on the menus to keep their offerings fresh and interesting. But whatever the case may be, that doesn't make us any less melancholy when one of our past favorite snacks is retired. and we didn't even get the chance to say goodbye. So without further ado, here's an in memoriam for just a few of our favorite lost snack brethren. Make sure to have some tissues handy for this one. The waffle sandwiches from Sleepy Hollow Refreshments in Magic Kingdom, the Kakamora float from Aloha Isle in Magic Kingdom, the peanut butter pie from Contempo Cafe in Contemporary Resort, oh, that one still hurts, the key lime pie on a stick from Neighborhood Bakery in Hollywood Studios, and poop candy from Zuri's Sweet Shop in Animal Kingdom. Listen, I'm not going to get into what poop candy is right now, but you can learn more about it on our 25 Things Disney Had to Stop Doing video. The important thing to remember here is that even though our hearts hurt for the treats of the past, Disney fills the gaps with new treats to try all the time. So don't be holding a grudge toward a snack location that got rid of your favorite snack, because they could still become the keeper of your new favorite. By the way, if you want to learn about our top 10 favorite snacks in the Disney World parks right now, scan the QR code you see on the screen or head to disneyfoodblog.com/bestsnacks, and we're going to send you a free guide covering all our current favorite sweet and savory Disney World treats, along with detailed snack maps so you can track each of them down with ease during your upcoming vacation. So Disney doesn't like making empty promises, which is why their blue sky or brainstorming in the works ideas usually aren't announced to the public unless some serious groundwork's already been laid out and guaranteed. But that doesn't mean blue sky concepts revealed to the public are always a guarantee. The Epcot transformation is a huge example of this. Back in 2019, Disney mentioned that Epcot would be receiving a major overhaul with new attractions, restaurants, much more to serve as reminders that Epcot, as Walt Disney himself said, will always be in the state of becoming. And Disney was able to do that, but not to the level they'd originally promised. After the COVID closures, many of those originally promised Epcot projects were shelved indefinitely, including the Mary Poppins Dark Ride or attraction for the UK Pavilion, the reimagining of Spaceship Earth, the Interactive Play Pavilion, Digital Metropolis, and the new Wondrous China footage for the China Pavilion. And technically, we never got the Festival Center we were originally promised either. Originally, the space that's currently Communicore Hall was supposed to be the World Celebration Festival Center. Disney released concept art for the Festival Center showing a space-age style design featuring a saucer shape, reflective columns and glass, winding staircases, and a rooftop garden. Suffice to say, the version of Communicore Hall that was built and opened this year was pretty different from its original description and artwork. Yeah, it's still a massive space that houses festival merchandise and a food window. Yes, you can meet Mickey and friends here. Yeah, the entertainment still happens out on the plaza, and there's technically a garden area, but the overall execution feels underwhelming when compared to the original Blue Sky concept. I'm still hoping deep down that we haven't seen this space used to its full potential yet, since Disney also mentioned a demonstration kitchen, a mixology bar, and an exhibition and gallery space can be found here as well. But my hope is diminishing like a slow-burning candle, especially since we're already knees deep into the Food and Wine Festival and we don't have any demos or seminars yet. But here's the silver lining in all of this. One, those shelved projects aren't necessarily completely off the table. Would I hold my breath for them? No, but Disney hasn't flat out canceled them per se, meaning they could be revived later on down the line if Disney thinks they'd still get enough traction in the park. I do think that Spaceship Earth revamp is coming. 2, Epcot still managed to give us so many things during their multi-year transformation that didn't completely diverge from the original concept art. This includes things like the triad of World Celebration shops, Club Cool, Creation Shop, and Connections Cafe and Eatery, a Figment meet and greet, the Space 220 restaurant, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, that's pretty cool, Journey of Water inspired by Moana, I think everybody forgets about that, right? New nighttime spectaculars, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, La Crêperie de Paris and Crêpes en Pâture, I never say that right, I'm sorry. Shikisai, Sushi Izakaya, and Regal Eagle Smokehouse. And 3, Epcot is still promising us new attractions even now that should be available by next year. Test Track, for instance, is currently getting that completely new theme with new scenes and everything slated to open in 2025. Now, Disney's been pretty tight-lipped about what the new ride will feature, but they did say that there would be a nod to the World of Motion, which was the OG ride that Test Track replaced. Honestly, this Test Track retheme gives me a glimmer of hope that the Spaceship Earth retheme might still be on life support, because if Disney's taking the time to update that Epcot attraction, maybe Spaceship Earth will receive some TLC in the future, although I'm pretty happy with how it is right now. So, I'm probably going to be happy either way. Now, speaking of Spaceship Earth, we are going to have a new Spaceship Earth lounge, also opening in 2025. This lounge is going to have very sleek and modern looks inspired by the stories, shapes, and enduring legacy of Epcot's park icon, the giant geodesic sphere herself. Okay, another thing that Disney's hoping you will forget about is last year's Jollywood launch. Jollywood Nights are returning to Hollywood Studios for the 2024 holiday season, which honestly surprised us a little since its initial launch last year was not what Disney had been hoping for. But before we get into all that, here's a little recap for what Jollywood Nights actually is, because the concept is very cool. Disney's Jollywood Nights is a separately ticketed event that will take place on 13 select nights from November 9th to December 21st this year. As part of the event, guests can view the Jingle Bell Jingle Bam nighttime fireworks and projection spectacular, enjoy exclusive treats, meet over 20 rare characters, and more. Sounds great, right? Well, Jollywood got off to a rather rocky start, which our DFB reporters experienced firsthand last year. Despite getting in line early for the event, it took about 45 minutes to get an event wristband for the park since there was only one line available at the time. A chunk of the party consisted of waiting in lines just to meet the characters and pick up limited time snacks. To attend the Jazzy Holidays inside Hollywood Brown Derby, you had to join the mobile walk-up waitlist, which booked up fast. The Twilight Soiree in the Tower of Terror courtyard also had very limited capacity, though they did perform several times throughout the night. The exclusive merchandise left something to be desired, and the Skyliner closed at 9:30 p.m., so anyone who was staying on the Skyliner route still had to take a bus back to their hotel at the end of the night. Heads up, that's not Jollywood Nights exclusive. That happens every time that there's an after-hours event there at Hollywood Studios, too. Oh, I don't know. There was still a lot to love about this one. Many folks were dressed to the nines in old Hollywood attire. The rides remained open and had much shorter wait times, and the shows were impressive, especially the live holiday special with Kermit and Miss Piggy as the hosts. But as far as being worth our money, initially we weren't so sure. Jollywood Nights had a pretty hefty cost, and it's going to cost you $159 to $179 per person this year. That's a lot of money for back-to-back frustration. However, when we attended the event later on in the season to give it another chance, it seemed to be running much more smoothly and we had a lot more fun, which makes sense. Much like a ride, brand new events have to get their kinks worked out too when they make their initial debut. It's just a tricky tightrope to walk, especially considering most guests aren't going to have the chance to give the event a second opportunity. But our hope is that Disney's learned a lot from last year's initial Jollywood launch, and it can be a lot more enjoyable this go around. Just to sweeten the deal a little, Jollywood will have new offerings for the party-going guests this year, like Glisten, the skating spectacular, which will take place on Hollywood Boulevard, more meet and greet characters like Baloo, King Louie, Jose Carioca, Panchito, Bo Peep, Lotso, the Mandalorian, and Joy, and new party-exclusive treats, including a parting gift of 6 champagne-flavored Wonder-Made marshmallows and a special Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy box, which is basically reason to spend $179 alone. Okay, to be fair, Disney doesn't want you to forget about money. Of course they don't. Otherwise, we could just waltz right into Magic Kingdom whenever we wanted and have free reign of the cheeseburger spring roll cart, which is a recurring dream that I have on the reg. No, much like several businesses nowadays, Disney would much rather you forget that cash is still a form of payment so that you can pay for food and merch using your credit card and debit cards instead. But why? Why do they care about whether I break out a few Andrew Jacksons versus tapping my card against their pin pads? Doesn't Disney get the money either way? Sure. And at most locations around Disney, cash is still acceptable, aside from the occasional street vendor. But here's why Disney would prefer you to stick with plastic versus paper. Reason number 1, labor savings. Theme parks usually have an entire cash control department, employees charged with counting cash, maintaining the levels of change needed in cash drawers in dozens of locations, moving cash around the theme parks, depositing cash, etc. So accepting cash requires behind-the-scenes labor that accepting cards and digital forms of payment does not. Reason number 2, speed. The theme park industry is continually looking for ways to reduce those wait times for customers. After all, less time in lines generally makes us all happier and moves us along to the next spot for us to spend money at. The fact is, it takes longer to accept cash and make change than it does to swipe a card. Sure, it's just a few seconds more, but with thousands of transactions each day, those extra few seconds add up. And reason number 3, increased revenue. There's also a psychological factor here. We, most of us, spend more money when we're not spending cash. Studies have shown that when we physically are counting out money we're spending, we're less inclined to spend ample amounts of it since we're seeing it leave our purses and wallets firsthand. But when we're swiping or tapping a card, it's almost mindless. Yeah, you're aware you're spending money, but there's not the physical action of handing it over that sends off that little warning signal in your brain that maybe it's time to slow down on the purchases just a bit. Disney doesn't want that little warning signal going off in your brain. But does that mean Disney's someday going to go cashless like we've seen other major theme parks do, including SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, Hershey Park, etc.? It's unlikely. Disney doesn't want to potentially eliminate guests, especially international guests who typically use more cash. Not to mention, the switch to a cashless system comes with technology concerns. Whenever a network issue happens, which we've seen firsthand a few times before, Disney World might only be able to accept cash payments for a short period of time. So Disney more than likely isn't going to want to turn away guests who are willing to pay right now just because a tech issue might happen behind the scenes. So with all that being said, I definitely still recommend keeping some cash on you while you're inside the parks, just in case you need it if one of Disney's systems go down. Again, it's happened to us before, or if you want to set back a reasonable souvenir budget, or if you'd prefer tipping your bartender or server with physical money instead of jotting down those gratuities on your final bill. Time to talk about Project S. If you don't know what Project S is, then Disney's done a bang-up job of keeping this out of the limelight in the hopes that you'll forget about it or never even learn about it until it becomes more of a thing. Too bad for them, because I'm about to spoil that and fill you in on the scoop. Recently, the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District, CFTOD, formerly known as Reedy Creek, filed for a construction permit that could possibly be for a brand new Disney World hotel or bring changes to an already existing hotel. The scope at the moment is unclear, but what is clear is that the CFTOD is considering a master services agreement that would allow the installation of new electrical transformers for a new resort. This filing comes on the heels of another from Disney World, one for a refurbishment at Disney's Wilderness Lodge. So this brings up the question, is the Lakeside Lodge still in development? Sorry, got ahead of myself. Let me catch you up to speed. Reflections, a Disney Lakeside Lodge, was announced back in 2018 and would theoretically sit on the land that used to be river country on Bay Lake, located between Disney's Wilderness Lodge and Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground. Reflections was initially supposed to be a deluxe resort with over 900 rooms and a wide variety of Disney Vacation Club villas. The resort was also supposed to include the Princess and the Frog-themed restaurant. But much like many of Epcot's Blue Sky projects from the past, Reflections was also shelved post-pandemic closures. So we're very curious to know if these new permits have anything to do with bringing this lodge concept back to life again. Now, to be fair, this isn't the first Project S we've seen pop up from Disney. Specifically, when Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind was being built at Epcot, a different permit appeared with the Project S title that matched the address of the ride's location. So this could just be Disney's way of maintaining secrecy with a blanket term and have nothing really to do with Reflections. But you know what I really wish this Project S was? A new value resort. Over the past few years, all of Disney's new hotels and major expansions have been in the Deluxe and Disney Vacation Club range. Riviera, Fort Wilderness Cabins, the Island Tower coming to Polynesian Village, or even the Galactic Star Cruiser. Meanwhile, the last major moderate resort expansion was Gran Destino Tower over at Coronado Springs in 2019. And the last time anything happened in the value resort realm was the opening of Art of Animation in 2012. Yep, the value and moderate resorts have received renovations and routine maintenance to make sure they're keeping up with their deluxe resort siblings in some sort of capacity. But as far as having something new and exciting for families to book for upcoming vacations that are actually more budget friendly, we got nothing. Meanwhile, Universal Orlando is busy building 2 new value level hotels, Stella Nova Resort and Terra Luna Resort, leading up to the opening of their 3rd Parkgate Epic Universe in May of 2025. I know Disney's got a lot of cards up their sleeve that they're still not ready to play just yet, but this yearning to have a brand new Disney value hotel is not one I'm going to forget about anytime soon. And we've made it to the hodgepodge that is Frontierland. When Frontierland first opened in Disneyland in 1955, the picture of it was crystal clear. We were taking a step back in time, transporting to a western realm of stagecoaches and pack mules and runaway mine trains. And when Magic Kingdom opened in 1971, they too added a similar version of Frontierland to the park in all its western time capsule glory. Now let's fast forward to today. While Magic Kingdom's Frontierland is still alive and well, it's having a bit of an identity crisis. We've still got Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, even though it will be undergoing a refurbishment and renovation for a year here coming up soon. But we've also got Tiana's Bayou Adventure, set in the bayous of New Orleans. A revamped Country Bears musical jamboree with Tennessee artist influences, and a soon-to-be Cars Land replacing the Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island, which looks like it's going to be based on an area just past Radiator Springs, kind of feeling Rocky Mountain-y kind of vibes. It's definitely not the desert, for sure getting mountainous vibes here. And then you're suddenly going to have a whole Villains Land just beyond Big Thunder Mountain. So what is going on here? Now, I'm not here to take sugar out of your tea. I, too, am super excited that Disney's expanding Magic Kingdom with a ton of really cool stuff. But I can't help but wonder, is Frontierland really going to stay Frontierland when all is said and done? Because the massive amount of work going into it feels like it's transforming into something completely different, and I'm not quite following just yet. And if Disney is planning on sticking with the Frontierland name, are we just supposed to pretend all these attractions exist in the same realm? I don't know. I trust that Disney's going to give us some sort of answer someday that my brain will accept. After all, over there in Disneyland, Frontierland kind of runs into New Orleans Square, which runs into, well, it was Critter Country, now it's Bayou Country, so things are just as kind of mixed up over there. In the meantime, all I know for sure is that Frontierland is getting ready to enter a very construction-heavy season, starting in early 2025. But we'll make sure to keep you updated as we learn more about this construction and how it's going to impact your Magic Kingdom trips next year, or in years to come. Sorry, Disney, but you can't make us forget that easily. And now you can remember these sneaky behind-the-scenes secrets too. If you find yourself craving more Disney news and under wraps info, hurry back and see us again soon for updated videos and 411s to come. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.